Audubon Naturalist Society's Nature for All campaign offered several naming opportunities that helped make it possible for thousands of people to benefit from ANS's strong Environmental Education Foundation. This foundation has been developed at Woodend Sanctuary since 1969, when ANS received the property. All started by ANS's first executive director, Gerald Schneider. Woodend's library remains a hub for our educational programs, and also a staging area for the many programs, weddings, and events held at Woodend each year. The Dorothy E. and Gerald Schneider Library will help create a larger and more diverse community of people who treasure the natural world and work to preserve it for generations to come.
It is my great pleasure to welcome you to Woodend's Library. It was once a billiard room designed by famous architect John Russell Pope. Marion Wells was a devoted Audubon Naturalist Society member, and she bequeathed Woodend Mansion to the Society in 1969. Our guests of honor, Gerald and Dorothy Schneider, lived right here in the mansion. And when I talk about leading this society, I talk about standing on the shoulders of giants. Jerry was a visionary. He understood the value of Woodend and how it could inspire all the people of our region to love and protect nature. And that's why it's so fitting that Dorothy and Jerry decided to dedicate the library. And today we get to celebrate their leadership as educators. And I would like to welcome Gerald and Dorothy to come up to dedicate the library that they named in honor of our Nature for All campaign. Can you imagine the years ahead that we're going to have of classrooms, of meetings, of gatherings and events? This is going to be a wonderful legacy for learning here in the DC metro region. Dorothy and Jerry, please come up.
Lived in this building upstairs until the carriage house was renovated for us to move into, and that's where we lived afterwards. It's been a wonderful experience to have been here and to see my husband Jerry have so many plans and executed a lot of plans for Woodend, which have now been extended. I'm a retired preschool Head Start teacher, and I worked in Montgomery County for 47 years, and I brought groups of children in my classes for a field trip here. They got a really good view of the property and enjoyed what it has to offer.
Dorothy and I are so greatly honored by this. Everything I did of more than 57 years of my lifelong marriage partner with Dorothy, she's been a part of. When I came here on Memorial Day 1969 and officially opened up Woodend for programs, there were a lot of things that had to be done. But I think what's most memorable to me was a $3,000 grant we got from the Hattie Strong Foundation to bus kids from the District of Columbia out here to Woodend. That was their first experience for most of them, and they had to even learn not to be afraid of grasshoppers. I also had 23 volunteers that were going into the inner city schools and teaching, and it was just wonderful. The main reason why I left Audubon was because I wanted to continue my work of inner city environmental education, and there was a lot of demand for it at the time, particularly following the riots that occurred in 1968. It brought a focus that we need to be more inclusive. And environmental groups, frankly, were not very inclusive. Whether that was by default or by design, I cannot say. I decided, being an educator at heart more than an administrator, that I really wanted to focus on that. And that's what I did for several years after. But you know, it kind of faded away. It was like a trend at a time, created maybe by the chaos that people saw, but it didn't last. But now, back at Woodend, one of the things I've discovered with the Audubon Naturalist Society in the last few years is that, to the best of my knowledge, they are the only environmental group that have gone so far as to be as inclusive as can be. Well, I could say a lot more, but I just want to emphasize again that if I was any prouder, I would have to be twins.
Jerry and Dorothy, I just can't tell you how delighted I am to be part of this vision that you started for Audubon Naturalist Society, Jerry, of creating nature for all. We have so much good work ahead of us, and the library is going to play a central role in the thinking and the planning and the doing that will make Nature for All become a reality here at Woodend and in the DC metro region. The only thing that would make today better would be if I could give you a big hug. But since we're trying to be safe, I'll do it this way, and I'll give you a big hug and just thank you so much for all of your generosity and all of your thoughtful support and vision for Audubon Naturalist Society. Well, today started with a big thunderstorm and a lot of rain, and I think of it as Mother Nature's way of providing champagne and fireworks to celebrate the dedication of the Dorothy E. and Gerald Schneider Library. It seems so fitting to me to be able to dedicate this library in honor of Dorothy and Jerry, both lifetime educators and leaders of a vision that nature is really for all people. This library is going to be like a think tank for us, a place where we gather to share our ideas and our visions and our hopes for the future. And that's all thanks to Jerry and Dorothy.
I'm really honored by this, the heritage of this, the heritage of an organization which pioneered environmental groups 1897 and which was a model for all the groups to follow, and it was done by women.
It was an honor, very enjoyable, good meeting all the people that were present. I will always have fond memories of this place.
Anytime I'm here, it just feels like home, because I've lived in Maryland now going on 50 years, and this was my start here, and really it was at my heart. Where else around the metropolitan area are you going to find a place like this within the Beltway that was a residence? I mean, it's just unique, and uniqueness to me is always something that should be preserved. That's about what I could say. I'm very hopeful for its 50-year plan.